Hi everyone, I'm here at the LinkedIn offices, and LinkedIn is the world's largest online professional network, and we're going to hear some really great tips and tools for students when creating their LinkedIn profile. I'm so excited to be here at LinkedIn Canada with Julie Dossett, the communications lead at LinkedIn Canada. She's here to share some great tips and tools to keep in mind when creating your LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so glad you're here. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Julie, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do here at LinkedIn?
Happily. So I'm the communications and PR lead here at LinkedIn Canada. That means I'm responsible for managing our brand right across our country, engaging with different audiences, whether it's our consumer audiences, members like you and me, and our recruiters and sales professionals and others who use LinkedIn in many different ways.
Thank you so much. So Julie, I know you have a lot of experience with working with recruiters as well as campus recruiters, and a lot of experience with youth who are creating LinkedIn profiles. I was wondering if you can share some of your, from your experience, some of your thoughts about creative digital resumes and having those incorporated into your LinkedIn account, and what kind of benefits that has for a young person.
Absolutely. So the big thing I hear when I talk to young people starting their careers is that they're really anxious that they don't have a lot of conventional work experience to cite, whether it's on their resume or their LinkedIn profile. And that's okay. That's normal, but there are great ways to get around that and still present a really complete picture of who you are and demonstrate why you're a great hire. So one of the other questions people have for me is, well, if I don't have a lot of work experience, why should I even bother being on LinkedIn? I mean, what's the point? I'll just look foolish with nothing there. Let me tell you, 9 out of 10 of the recruiters and employers in Canada are on LinkedIn. They're looking. So a presence there is essential. I mean, even if the company you hope to work for or the individual or the job you're going for isn't there, once you start applying for jobs, recruiters and hirers will start to look you up. So not to be there would be missing a huge opportunity. Also, I would argue that starting at the beginning of your career to manage your online brand is the perfect time. In fact, it's better than some of us who come to it halfway through. So make it a discipline right from the beginning to manage your online brand. Because here's the thing, if you don't tell your work story online, who's going to? So keep that as part of your career discipline from day one. So how do you get over that obstacle of not having a lot of experience? Don't worry about it. The great thing about LinkedIn, at least, is that it allows you a lot of opportunity to demonstrate skills and experience you might have had in your school, your academic background, or volunteer work, or sample projects. Make the most of those opportunities. There's so many different tips and tools within the LinkedIn profile tool that you can really kind of make up for the fact that you may not have 35 years of experience. It's okay. Definitely be careful about how you present yourself. Creativity is really important, and it's a great opportunity, great way to demonstrate our personality. Because remember, people hire people. I mean, we can talk in a moment about automated systems and how they sift through resumes. It's all very scary. But, and even on LinkedIn, our recruiters use search functions that are very sophisticated to identify the talent they most want to work with. But that doesn't mean you don't have to be creative. In fact, creativity is your best way of really presenting who you are. Because at the end of the day, it's a person who's going to hire you. And they want to know who's going to be coming into their office every day. So make the most of those opportunities. I think that creativity sometimes is misinterpreted to be silly or wacky. I caution you, particularly young people, to talk to other people, your colleagues, adult, maybe somebody who's in the type of job you want to work in. Get a sense of the comfort level, the appetite for creativity, because certain jobs, they welcome it. If you want to be a graphic designer or a web developer, there's a lot more room for being quite a bit off the wall and creative. If you want to go into maybe law or accounting, there might be a little less. Doesn't mean it shouldn't be there, but there's going to be different levels of comfort in different industries. So avoid being silly or wacky. This is your one chance to make a good impression. So it's hard for all of us for that moment, but make sure your summary is powerful and incorporates the keywords. That's a great tip for making sure that you come up in those searches, and that when someone goes to look for you, that you're really articulating an interest in that kind of role. But absolutely make the most of the tool to demonstrate personality and be authentic in your own voice.
I think you made some really great points, and you alluded to some of the things that we've talked a lot about. For example, the headline, the summary, and most importantly, keeping your audience in mind. That's very, very key.
Hugely important, and it's easy to forget. When we talk about ourselves, sometimes we forget who it is we're talking to and what we want them to feel or do. So I always tell people, think about your audience. what are they looking for, and what do you want them to feel or do.
Yeah.
And so that you made a point, but the headline and summary are
Yeah.
tremendously important.
Very important.
The summary is really interesting, right? And it's a struggle for many of us, even those of us who are really comfortable in communications. But don't let that dissuade you.
Mm-hmm.
A strong headline, not just your current job title or looking for a job, that's not a powerful headline. Give me a quick one line about who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
In your summary, you have 2,000 characters, which is actually quite a lot. And certainly we recommend that nothing shorter than 40 words, because here's the thing. I mentioned keywords, so that's a big part of what happens now. It's both on a human level. When we read a quick summary in a conventional resume or on LinkedIn elsewhere, we want that paragraph that's fast and, okay, I get a sense of who this person is. But it's also more and more we see digital tools that are sifting through, looking for specific words. So introduce yourself, who you are, what your background is, what's your superpower, what makes you really special, why are you different than the 300 other people who have the same academic background or volunteer experience. So use those keywords. A great way to figure out what are the right keywords to use, go look up the job you want. Look at the job description, you'll get a sense pretty quickly of the keywords that are important there. Then go look up the profiles of people who have the job you really want or your dream job. Again, you may find some really valuable clues there about the kinds of words you should be using. Integrate those in authentically. If you're not a writer, don't panic. It's okay. A lot of us really struggle with that, especially when we're writing about ourselves. It feels bragging, right?
Definitely.
So we all feel really weird about that. This is really normal. But here's the thing I tell people. If you don't tell your work story, no one else is going to. So get over the bragging thing. It's not bragging in the context of your career. This is about telling and showcasing your achievements and your capabilities. So that's that part. The other part is if you're not comfortable with writing, ask for help. It's okay. First of all, there's lots and lots of resources online to have lots of tips and tricks for writing your profile. But then another thing is to sit down with a colleague, particularly if there's someone in your industry that you're really interested, the industry you're interested in, then have a chat with them and ask for their advice. There are people who will help you. People also, by the way, love to help you with this stuff. It's really interesting. If you ask, same thing, people say, well, no one's going to write a recommendation. I feel really awkward asking for that. You would be amazed. If you say, hey, could you just maybe write something about that time we worked together? Whatever you're comfortable with, just one line, that's fine. People love to do it. You wouldn't think so, but they really do. So don't hesitate to ask for recommendations. Do you have a professor who you really got along well with at university or college? Because, I recognize, particularly for young people, they may not have a lot of employers to call on. That's okay. That's a great situation where a professor might say, here's someone who worked really hard, who was really engaged. So don't hesitate to use those opportunities for sure.
Very cool. So you having a well-rounded profile is very important. And now you've mentioned a lot about the search tools that LinkedIn uses. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how having a creative resume can pop up and sort of instead of those keywords, how that'll help?
Yeah. So, well, keywords are certainly the most important driver of that search function. But then you got to figure, well, if those keywords have brought that recruiter to you, you better be ready to knock their socks off. So I really encourage people, particularly young people who don't have a lot of work experience, to make the most of the tools to add other content to their LinkedIn profile. This is something you can't do in a conventional resume, right? I mean, we're limited to 1 page or 2 pages. The beginning of our career is like, how am I going to fill 2 pages? And then partway through our career, we're like, how can I limit it to 2 pages? It's a good day. LinkedIn is great because it's super easy. In your profile editing tool, you'll see a line of buttons where you can add a link. Maybe you did something that was published somewhere, or you made a website, or you contributed something. Put the link in. Add photos, add video, add presentations, a PowerPoint, or something else. These are tremendously powerful tools to go beyond just I'm a recent graduate in IT and I'm looking for a job in development. This now I have some color, right? Like now I get a sense of who this person is. Okay, so young people say, I don't have any work experience. What could I possibly post there? Hey, this is where you get creative. So number 1, you think about work that you may have done in school. It's a great opportunity to showcase, explain what it is. The assignment was to do this, and here's a piece I'm really proud of. And something ideally relevant to the kind of work you want to do. Let's say you might not have that, or in addition to that, think about scenarios or circumstances that are relevant to your industry. Create a mock-up, a kind of a sample. So let's say you could do something like, in a scenario in banking, here's a PowerPoint I've developed to address the topic of opening branches in small communities. I'm making up a scenario,
Yeah,
but
great.
that's a great way to show a potential employer how you would approach a problem and how you would present it, how well you can articulate. Let's face it, half the world is driven by PowerPoint, so that's a good one to showcase, by the way. But video is a really powerful tool for sure, and certainly when employers see that you've enhanced your profile with these additional materials right away, that's a clue that this is someone who's very engaged in their career.
Yeah.
And if you are looking at a pool of 20 candidates and they all kind of say the same thing, strategic, creative, leadership, and motivated, well, we all are, so that doesn't help us. It's not that they're bad words, it's just they're really, really overused. So overused as to be virtually empty now. So ditch the buzzwords, go with the keywords, and then really enhance it with this other material that can really bring you to life. Another tip I would say is to use the opportunity for video. Have a friend help you shoot. You know, with phones now, we have video studios in our hands.
We do.
So let's use it. Have a friend help you shoot a really short, like 30 seconds, 45 at most. People don't have that much time and they're not that interested in you. So use it to introduce yourself, articulate why you're a great hire, really give a sense of your personality. And those things are really tremendously powerful in painting a more complete picture of who you are.
Yeah, perfect. Fantastic. And Julie, do you have any other feedback for us about other things that you can do to really enhance your career or your career search using LinkedIn?
I always have lots to say. So I would say that the other really valuable tool or way you can use LinkedIn beyond having that really all-star profile with all that additional material. Once you've presented yourself, now it's time to really engage. So what does that mean? So part one is learning. The more informed we are about the kind of job we want and the industry we want to work in, the more powerful and valuable candidate we are. There's just no two ways about it.
Yeah.
So the great thing about LinkedIn now, particularly in the last couple of years, we've just seen an explosion of content. There are articles. People share links to articles that might have appeared in a newspaper or online or wherever. They share all kinds of stuff they've written themselves, perspectives and profiles. This is really, really valuable place to get some cutting edge and really, really relevant information to your career. So read. And the more you can read, the better educated you are in your specific industry and type of jobs that you want to be in. Okay, so that's the first step. Now what do? Well, like articles. Start to engage with them, like them, comment on them, share them with your own followers, share them with someone particular. Hey, remember that professor I met? We really connected on this topic. I'm going to share this with that person. Oh, that information interview I did, very important part of our career development always. They might really find this very interesting. Oh, share. Every time you do that, you're demonstrating how engaged you are with not just your own career, but with your industry as a whole. And when I go back to that situation where I'm a recruiter and I've got 25 candidates in front of me, who do I think is most interested and engaged? Who's going to be the most energetic and committed employee? I've got someone who's engaging and talking and articulating things about their industry. Of course, that's going to stand out. Once you get comfortable with that kind of content, then I encourage people to publish too. Oh, it sounds really scary at first. More than just your little update. This is like writing something. At first, people are like, oh, what am I going to say? And I'm young, so I don't want to look foolish.
Yeah.
So be careful. Obviously, again, you've got a chance to make a good impression. Don't blow it. But this is a great opportunity. After you've read a lot of content, you'll start to get comfortable and you'll start to know more. And maybe you have an opinion about something. Perhaps there's an issue that's emerging in your sector. Maybe it's real estate, and you have something you want to say about that. Well, here's a perspective. As a young person, here's what I see, or here's what I wish we could do, or here's the role of the private sector or the government or whatever. And so this is great because I can't think of a better way for potential employers to really understand who they could be working with than for you to hear it in your own words. It's a great way. It's also great for colleagues too. And it all comes down to network, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know that you can have the killer profile, but it's about who you know.
Yeah.
And while at first that sounds like a very discouraging thing, it really isn't. Every time you engage with content, that is an opportunity to get to know other people. When you like someone's article, maybe you comment on it, you can start a dialogue either with the author or the other people who are reading it. Joining groups is another slam dunk way of making the most of this. Great place. Either your alumni group, for instance, if you've been to university or college, super good. Certainly, virtually every industry has at least one and usually multiple groups. They can be very local or they can be quite international, which is really interesting. Get some great perspectives on that. So join those groups, engage with those members, start to build your connections. And every one of those connections, at first you think, oh, that's not going to do anything for me. Well, I'll tell you, I wouldn't be in this job
Mhm.
if it wasn't because of those kind of connections.
There you go.
And it's tremendously powerful.
Thank you so much, Julie. I think you shared some great tips for us. And
Pleasure.
yeah, we're going to be right back and we're going to talk about some other cool developments at LinkedIn.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.